Alrighty, good morning again, everyone. I hope you're doing fantastic. It's going to be a big one today in the markets because we do have the US presidential election that's going to be ongoing today through to tomorrow. So we'll talk a little bit about that. It is all up in the air. So we'll talk and we'll kind of try and figure out what could happen that's going to happen. We had the RBA with their interest rate decision, keeping it on hold at 4.35%. No change on the RBA interest rates. We have a new Melbourne Cup winner from the race that stops the nation. I'll tell you about that. If you don't know yet, I'll tell you about that later. And also, we're going to be expecting significant volatility to be coming. So please watch out. All that to come. But first, all right, we are back. Hey Sunil, how are you doing? Hey Diana, hope you're doing fantastic. We have a new winner. Nike's Choice winning the $2.3 million gamble at the Melbourne Cup, getting glory to the name. I saw, where was that? Let me see. Okay. Won by a bit of a whisker, well, a nose. I won by just a nose on Nike's Choice. I used to follow this news quite a bit previously when I was in Australia. Like I was saying, this would be the day where we would be having lunch, enjoying, and watching the race, not getting much work done. So for the friends in Australia, I hope you enjoyed your day with the Melbourne Cup and hope you won your office sweep. All right, so that is the new winner, Nike's Choice at the Melbourne Cup. But that's done, that's dusted. Take that away. We do have today interest rate decision from the RBA at 11:30 a.m. GMT plus 8, where we saw them keep rates on hold at 4.35%. No big surprise there. Pretty much as expected. Aussie dollar moving pretty much as expected as well. No significant changes. I'll tell you more about that shortly as well when we look at the charts. Um, I'm still a bit groggy. Just woke up from my nap. Took a quick nap just so I can say good morning to all of you all. It's good afternoon, but good morning. Magas, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Dinah's doing great. Good. I am doing super. I had a like I was sharing on Discord this morning. I had a quick trade on gold as it spiked down. Well, I got in a little bit early in preparation, thinking that it was going to spike down. It spiked right down as it was going to bounce back up. I was of the Bollinger, close out the trade, and then it's gone all the way back up again. So I was very happy with that. Um, Rewarded myself with a little bit of a nap. Hey, in your case, how are you doing? Good afternoon. Hope you're well. Good morning. Singapore races are closed now, right? Sunil says, I have no idea, Sunil. Absolutely no idea. The only thing I know about a horse race is the one on the first Tuesday of November in Melbourne. That's the only horse race that I would vaguely, I wouldn't even say I know of, I'm vaguely familiar about just because I like doing the office sweep or do up little notes and go around collect money, do an office sweep and see who calculate the odds and calculate who wins how much. All right, so I will be the worst person to tell you about Singapore races or any races around the world. Um, with all that, if you're on the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. If you can help me out massively, do remember to click that like and subscribe button. Would love for you to help me get more people onto the session. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free, put into the chat and let me know. Okay? Dinah sharing that Dubai has a good one too. Been watching before. Um, I've driven past the many stables in Dubai. I've got some connection vaguely with at the Medan race course. I haven't been there. I haven't watched the race. Probably would be a box that I want to check off and do that. Medan race course does look fantastic as well. It is a good one. That's the only one I know as well. I wouldn't know any other race courses, just because I've got a little office there, so I know the one at Medan. Okay. Um, yeah. So maybe next time we'll do a meetup at a race when I'm in Dubai again. All right. Okay. Like, subscribe. Yes, done that. Ask a question. Done that. Um, Drop a message and say hi, like that. Okay, so now with all that said, what happened overnight? Nothing much in terms of news. We had the Japanese on a bank holiday, we had a whole bunch of news, but you see that the dollar pretty much sat in a bit of a consolidation, although it did get held by that resistance and pushed down. That was this red arrow was my first analysis. Didn't happen, take that away. Then while I was doing that analysis, I thought, what if the dollar doesn't break above this resistance and turn back down? So it did that exactly, right? It came up during our session, tested the resistance and pushed right back down to this area here, which was that 23.6 from the long term. Found 23.6 fib retracement level, couldn't break lower, rebounded back up to that resistance area. Now looking like it might push back down again. Why I say it might push back down again is because with today, after this RBA interest rate decision at 11:30, there is not much. There's not much more to look out for until we get to the voting, the numbers, the electoral colleges, right? The how many states, how many electoral votes are they going to win to decide on the next president in the US? Yesterday, we ran that quick poll, and a couple of you said that Trump was going to win. I'm thinking so too. But I'm really just making a guess. It's I don't think that it really affects me that much. Was speaking with a friend in the U.S. this morning. He thinks Trump is going to win. He's got a bet with another friend that Trump is going to win. I thought of getting a MAGA hat, but I don't even think I'll be wearing that hat if I got it. So didn't. But still thinking, still thinking. All right. So we have the US presidential election to come to be decided. Today it'll be all through to tomorrow for me, GMT plus 8, right? Through the night where we'll have that. Please remember, um, volatility is going to be high. I've received an email from one of the one of the prop firms that we're working with. I've just started working with, where they are not allowing trades during this period, right? They're not allowing trades during this period because of the volatility. It's an A book. It's an A book prop firm. So that's gonna be interesting. Look out for the video. I'll be doing that, an introduction of that soon. Um, so watch out with your brokerage as well, whichever brokerage you're using, where you're likely to see margins being increased because of this event. You're likely maybe to even see short-term gaps and spikes and volatility, or definitely spikes and volatility. So you want to watch out for that. Okay. Um, you don't have to trade this news event. The big, I mean, we were talking about this on Discord where we're like, oh, who are you trading tomorrow? A couple of us were having a discussion. You don't have to trade tomorrow, or through the night. I'll be watching. I'm looking at any possible trades, but also bearing in mind that spreads could widen, um, margins could increase, prices could spike up for one moment and come right back down the next. So it's very choppy to a super extent, right? I don't think it'll be easy. I think that there is going to be a significant volatility. So just, I can't say enough. Just be super, super, super careful, especially over over this period coming up. Okay, if you agree, put it into the chat that you agree and you understand. If you don't agree and understand, then be ready to take on that risk. Okay, give me 1 second. All right, had to just clear my nose, getting a bit nasally. Okay, hey Kaz, good morning. How are you doing? I hope you're doing fantastic. So that's what we have in terms of the news through to tomorrow, where we'll have the employment numbers to come for the Kiwi. Unemployment rate expected to have a rather significant jump from 4.6 to 5%. Employment change quarter on quarter, a big drop from a 0.4 to a minus 0.4. Looking like it might be relatively bad news here for the Kiwis at 5:45 a.m. GMT plus 8. Right, and then you get a little bit of a breather all the way through to Thursday with the BOE and then also the FOMC, both of them looking to cut rates by 25 basis points from a 5% down to a 4.75%. Talking about the FOMC rates decision, looking at the Fed Watch 2, the CME Fed Watch 2, you see there is now no chance of a 50 basis point rate cut, but 98% chance for a 25 basis points cut and a slight 2% chance for rates to stay on hold at its current level. I'll tell you more about that on Wednesday, but I would be thinking that it's going to stay, or it's going to be cut by 25 basis points. Okay, then employment numbers for the CAD, we're talking about that. Okay, so now with all that said, we're seeing pound dollar pushing up, we're seeing the euro dollar pushing up, Aussie and Kiwi all pushing up. So we're seeing basically just by looking at this, where the euro and the pound is pushing up, the Aussie is pushing up, the Kiwi is pushing up, and the US yen is pushing down. That gives you, and the US CAD is pushing down. That gives you the biggest hint that number one, the dollar index should be weakening, and it is. So let's look at the charts from here on. All right, here we are. Now, please give me give me a couple of seconds. I'll go grab a tissue and clear my nose. All right. I am back. Okay. I'm guessing everything still works. You can see me okay, hear me all right. Yes. Now. Hey, Noachuku, how are you doing? Let me just check something. Okay. All right. Now, looking at the dollar index here, take that one away. It's in this range. It doesn't look like it's going to close up that gap soon. Um, the general idea is that if Trump wins, right? If Trump wins, we're likely to see again. This is not a definite. There's so much up in the air. This is really a best guess scenario. If Trump wins, we're likely to see the dollar strengthen because Trump is rather pro business. Is is a bit protectionism, so increased business activity in the U.S. Likely to boost the U.S. dollar, trade tariffs, um, but also bring about the uncertainty, which is then going to bring about the gold also possibly pushing to the upside. But firstly, thinking that if Trump wins, right, we might see this do that, right? So it's pushing down now. There is still a lot of time in the lead up to the um, decision on the president. So we might see that still push down a little bit for now. Might find this area again and then spike right up because of the if Trump wins. Okay, that was Americans looking for. That's the economic growth. They are looking for the economic growth, but there is the uncertainty that it comes along with it. Uncertainty in terms of, and I'm not getting political now. Oh, I just realized I need to clear that Kiwi dollar thing. Okay, I'm not getting political now, but with Trump winning, there could be um, more more conflict domestically in terms of between the parties, between the groups of supporters. So that might be one of the causes of unrest, right? But generally, um, when he back 2 elections ago, when Trump was against Hillary, was vying against Hillary, um, I was actually again at that point quite thinking that Trump was going to win. Right, I did a couple of talks in big groups where I said, "Hey, Trump. It looks like Trump might win." it's pro business, it's pro economic growth, and everyone thought, no, 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 Hillary's going to win. So it's likely to, everyone thought that Hillary's going to win, but Trump won. What we did see was a bit of a spike up on the dollar. Well, a bit of a spike down first because of the uncertainty. Then after that, push back up, and then um, the natural economic forces took over on the dollar, right? On the dollar. So that's what I'm thinking on a Trump win scenario. Sunil added, if you are on my mailing list, if you're not on my mailing list, you should be. The link is in the description there. If you're already on my mailing list, you would have got the email where I detailed this out. Well, not detailed. I briefly put it out in points, in 3 or 4 key points for you guys about what to think about before this news release. Is yes, if Harris wins, there is likely to be stability on the FOMC and economic fundamentals because Harris is likely to maintain its current path, not introduce any policies that are too crazy, keep with the current policy, and that's a stability. That's less uncertainty and a stability, um, which could bring about a bit of strength first on the dollar, right? So I think that if Harris wins, we could actually see it sit around this level or push up, and then after that come back down because the Fed, it comes back down to natural economic activity where the Fed is now on a rate cut scenario, where we could see the dollar weaken back down because of rate cut scenario or rate cut path, right? With the protectionism and the policies that Trump might introduce, is likely to bring about uncertainty, so move towards reserve is likely to, there is the risk of increasing or bringing back some level of inflation, which could bring about a bit more concern over rates and hence might bring the dollar back up again, right? Might bring inflation back into play, might bring, because of protectionism and the cost, that might bring the dollar back up slightly. So it's all happening in this area. Generally, yes, it does sound like it's a good scenario for gold where we are pretty much expecting um, for it to bounce to the upside. All right. So let me see if I missed anything. No. Okay. So now, right here, looking at the dollar index. Okay, that all makes sense. Just want to check. At this point, if I look at that, downside is only if it breaks below 103.40. Downside only if it breaks below 103.40 to trade down towards 102.90. But I'm thinking that this is a more likely scenario. Yeah, I'm thinking it's more likely scenario here. So today being the 5th of November, where we're looking at the dollar index, it firstly could retest the 103.60 area or .50 area. Um, and then could retest that area and then rebound up and rebound up to possibly even cover this gap at 104.30 to cover gap and up to rebound up to cover gap and up to 104.30. Right, so come down to this area, rebound back up to 104.30. Then if price breaks 103.40, could trade down to 102.90. But I think that it does look like that upside. It might just do that. It might push down a bit more, then come back up. Okay. Now, with that said, on the dollar index, the approach I'll be taking a little bit differently this time round would be a bit of a I'm not going to bother too much. So usually, if you've been following me for all through the days, I'll base this bias on the dollar index and then look into, apply that onto other major currency pairs and where it could head towards. I think that because of that big unknown here, I'll be looking at all the other major currency pairs pretty much independently, just based on what we see there and also the kind of news that they've just recently had. Okay. So to give you an example of that, what I mean is that on the Kiwi, right, on the Kiwi, we saw from yesterday, it did push down, only broke that late last night at midnight to push down slightly. Came down about 20 pips before it pushed back up again. Now pushing back up because of what we're seeing on the dollar, some dollar weakness coming back into play. Ultimately, remembering that tomorrow we do have the employment numbers. Very looks like it could be very bad employment numbers to come from the Kiwi. So expecting that Kiwi weakness. What we're possibly then looking for is either, hang on, let me see. We were right here yesterday. Set down, push down a little bit before coming back up. Okay, so either I'm looking for it to test 6020 and then push back down again. That's one view, but that's not a big move expected there. We're just under, we're 5995 right now. So either it's going to push up this way and turn back down because of that Kiwi weakness, or continue up and take that 61.8 and get held by that. Right? So, or we can look at that. Test and reject, and then right back down again. So that's what I'll be looking for in this case would be 6040. Stop loss will be tight at about 20 pips. Take profit, I would say that I could even go down that 80 pips back. I wouldn't take this point, but back to this whole area here, I'll be looking at that. But that's likely to be driven more by through when the dust I wouldn't say dust settles, but when it's a little bit more stable with the interest rates, well, with the employment numbers to come for the Kiwi tomorrow. Right. Okay. Now with that, okay, 6040, stop loss 20, take profit 80 to the downside. Okay, then onto the Aussie dollar, you see that on release of the news, which was at 11:30, right there. Okay, so again, same thing. It only pushed down late last night at midnight before it set right across. You shouldn't have entered that trade because you would know that there is a news from the Aussie tomorrow. What we see here is that on release of the news, I'll zoom in a bit. You see that the Aussie dollar firstly spiked up, right, from 6588 up to 6598, only a 10 pip move before pushing back down again, forming that rejection but didn't break that level, and then sat there. And since the news decision or the rates decision, it's gone from 6585 up to 661, almost 6615. So very similar to the Kiwi dollar is that now that it's pushing up, right? Now that it's pushing up and that the RBA are keeping rates, have kept rates on hold, they did indicate, or they're possibly going to be looking at, further no change to policy, inflation fight continues. It's most likely going to be into next year. All right, so I think that we might see this push up towards this level, towards the resistance. Now the big question is it going to push up and continue? I'll come back down. Now let me put this level in here. It's a bit of a thing to watch. Right. So same thing like the Kiwi. So we're looking for that back down, but what you should notice here is that we have this level here. We might only be looking at that because there's no big news to come yet for the Aussie right after this. I'm actually just thinking whether it's worth a complete recovery on the Aussie dollar. I want to be looking for that reaction here at 6650. A test and reject, we'll see it come back down. If not, we could well see it break right through. Okay, I'll tell you what we're looking for. Firstly, Aussie dollar, I'll be looking at 6635, stop loss 20, take profit a good 60 pips to the downside. That's trend following. Okay, so 6635, stop loss 20, take profit 60. We call that trend following. But we're also thinking that if it can close up and break above that resistance, we could even be looking at 6670. Stop loss would be about 30 pips. And then I might even be thinking that it could go all the way. Not immediately, but something that could move up quite significantly, like what happened here um, in September. Right? If it breaks or bounces through this area, we've got the whole big move back up. So that's what I'll be looking at first. Secondly, based on a reaction at this resistance level. Okay. So oops. Counter trend up would be to buy at 0.6670, stop loss 30, take profit 90 to the upside. So it comes it comes back down to what's going to happen at that resistance level. Now with that, then we look at the pound dollar. Right, so pound dollar, I was looking for that to bounce off this trend line. I was quite happy as it was bouncing off that, but then next moment, because of the dollar, it came right back down, set across, now pushing back up again. So if we move that, take that away, and that, when you check this level, it just came down to 38.2 and found some support and held pushing back up. So that didn't trigger, take that away. Now, again, I would prefer to be looking for the pound dollar to push up, test this area, and come back down on the dollar. Hey Meta, how are you doing? And back down again, right? Looking at that, holding that area, test and reject, back down. So I think we'll be quite similar to what we had from yesterday. 1.2980, stop loss 40, take profit, we go back down to 130 to the downside, 1.2980, 40 to 130, 1.2980, 40 to 130 to the downside. Not loaded yet, but doing well. Doing well. Thanks for that, Meta. I hope you're doing super too. Um, Pound dollar, doing that. Yes. I might even see this push out a little bit more before coming back. So testing that resistance and that area, that 38.2 before coming back in. So that all makes sense. Yes, I'll keep that. So I'll be looking to sell at 1.2980. Stop loss 40, take profit 130 to the downside on the pound dollar. Then onto the euro dollar, I'll maintain that. So we saw that it didn't drop that much, but we saw that sitting right across in a bit of a wider range, right? It was in this 30-40 pip range. So pretty much set across, looking for it to push up to the up, to break higher on the euro. If the dollar, I think that there's good upside here. And because this was so near to that 38.2, I'll be looking at that. I don't need this one. I'll be looking at that rather than 38.2. And then that's where I'll be thinking that if the euro, I might go for a bit of a wider stop on this, but I'll be looking at it breaking above that previous high. And although that trend line doesn't work, I don't need that. What you should notice here is a bit of that resistance on that trend line there. We can do that. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. My nose is absolutely driving me a bit crazy right now. So what I'll be looking for is that it breaks that previous high, it breaks that little diagonal resistance level on the euro dollar. If we see that dollar weakness, then I'll be looking at 1.0930. Stop loss, I would say give it a bit more space. I'll go for 30. Take profit, I'll go up to 70, which is also within that area of that 50% retracement and that resistance level. Okay, so 1.0930, 1.0930, stop loss 30, take profit 90, 70 to the upside. Okay. Hey Richard, how you doing? Good morning. Go. So yes, looking for that to push up. Then on to the US yen. All right, I was a bit too ambitious here. Right, truth be told, very ambitious. Was too ambitious here in that zigzag. Trying to predict that zigzag range. It did hold. The bottom did hold, but it didn't push up as much as we had expected. Now it's pushing back down. I would say that this range, this breakout potential is still what you're looking for. Within this range, not interested. Look for that breakout, for that move. So I'll keep that. Look for the breakout. And then if it does break out, then you're looking at 150.80, stop loss 40 pips, take profit, 140 to the downside. That's on dollar weakness, breaking the 50, breaking that 23.6. Then if it breaks, or if it breaks up from 154, then you'll be looking at 154, above 154, 154.10. Stop loss would be about 50 or a little bit more, but 50 would be a good one to start. Then you're looking at 155.50 or 140 upside towards that point there or in that area there. Right? But for now, I would say that it's still ranging in this area. You're still looking for that breakout potential. And we've got the two breakouts there. I'll post that one up on TradingView as well. Okay. Good morning, Rita. How are you doing? Richard's asking, is that gap do not act as a magnet. Markets want to fill it up. Well, see, the thing about the gap um, is that it's everyone expects it to fill, right? But we've had gaps for all the other pairs already, and it hasn't filled yet. So it kind of is a bit of a um, self-fulfilling prophecy where there's a gap, and then everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna fill the gap. It's gonna fill the gap." It When it doesn't fill the gap, we keep talking about it filling the gap. Eventually, market moves in a cycle, so it will cover up that area and go, "Oh, it's filled the gap." So it's not an immediate thing. This gap was on Saturday, Monday morning. Yesterday didn't fill the gap yet. It doesn't look like it's gonna fill it right now. Might come back in later and fill it, but I wouldn't say that it's a big mad neck to fill the gap at this point. Okay, hope that makes sense. And I just did that gifting of a membership for the Market Explorer. So Khalid, you have a membership for a month on Market Explorer. Amit, Kumar as well. Richard, you have it again. AYJ and Gusto has membership on Market Explorer. I can give away 10 every month. So I try and do that for you guys. Okay. Um, Now looking at the euro, still sitting right across, looking like that push up. I'll keep that there. So euro yen, right? Euro yen looking for it to break out, expecting that push up on the euro dollar, going to drag the euro yen up. So 166.10, 22.55 to the upside. I'll keep that. On to the pound yen, right? That did break right after our session. Our session was right here, right? And then continued lower and broke that to the downside. You would have caught a good 55 pip move to the downside. If not, it would have gone up and closed you out at stop loss. But what you should notice now is that the arrows or the lines and the oh, what am I doing? That's extending out, right? That's extended out from the bottom out, from the top. It's not a great level. That's a better level to consider. So what I'm thinking again is a possibility. Now, pound dollar, we're looking at that push up. US yen, we're looking for potential correction or retracement back down. Onto the pound yen, it looks like it might squeeze in this area, but I think that the pound yen might be a little bit more tricky, right? So I think it's going to squeeze in this area. I think that the pound yen could push up a little bit more, back up to that level again. That's what I'm kind of thinking of the pound yen. Back up to this previous level. So as much as it looks like, so Rita just said thanks for the TSR MACD. You're most welcome there. Thanks for supporting me on Elite Navigators. I appreciate that. So TSR MACD looking like it might cross over and push down. I feel like it's sitting right across. It hasn't crossed over yet, so don't rush in. I'm thinking if the pound dollar can push up a little bit, that's going to drag the pound yen up. So we might actually see it test and then maybe do this back down first and then continue lower, right? So maybe 198.10, stop loss 45, take profit. First one will be at 90 pips and then ultimately down to 200. But we'll do the first one first. Okay, so test in this area, sit there, break out, maybe even a little bit higher, come back down, reject that 61.8, reject that previous swing high, then come back down. Sunil says no breakout scenario on pound yen before the drop. What do you mean by that? Sorry. Yeah, this is the one problem with streaming live is I can't edit out my nose clearing parts. As a physical edit, we have to slide out of the screen and come back again. It was posted before your trade idea. Breakout before. No, I think we look for that. Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so looking at that breakout and retrace, breakout and retrace back down again. That's what we're looking out for. Then on to the Swiss franc, right? So sitting there, pushing back while rejecting. That's kind of rejecting what we've seen. It's testing again, so it didn't do that clear rejection. It's done this, this, might see that, and then hopefully see that. So I'll keep that set up. I might put it at 8650, 20 to 55 to the upside. So we're looking at 8650, 20 to 55 to the upside. US CAD, right? It didn't break higher, but it did show that downside. Now, what you could be looking out for here, we've been talking about this for, I feel like a very, very, very long time already. Um, and that's like the same thing I was talking about gold coming right back down for a couple of days and then it started pushing back down. If it breaks below 1.3870, 1.3870, 20, firstly 20 to 50 pips to the downside. Then if it breaks that level, you've got further downside again. Okay. So sell at 1.3870, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the downside. Okay. Then on to gold, same thing. I did that. So that happened. I got into that trade a bit earlier and then it popped right down, closed out my trade, came right back up, set across. Now trying to push back down again. And you can see it's a bit odd that the dollar is still trying to push lower, but gold is also trying to push lower. So same thing, I'll keep that as below 2730, could trade down to 2710. Below 2730, could trade down to 2710. And I think after that, we might see it push right back up again, like that. Diana saying, waiting for Cat to trade lower. Yes, me too. Absolutely. Okay. We're having that discussion on Discord where we're looking at 2710 or 2708 where it could bounce off. Okay. Head and shoulder. Head and shoulder. I don't see it. Inverted head and shoulder, maybe. But I think that we might see this drop a little bit. Yeah, might have an inverted head and shoulder. But I think it's going to consolidate that and push down. Hit at 2790. Oh, let me see. Shoulder hit H4 time frame. So I know what you're talking about. I can see what you're talking about there. But based on what I'm kind of expecting is then that it might look like it's forming a head and shoulder but reject. So you could do that shoulder, neckline, head, and then neckline, shoulder, back down, diagonal breakdown. Not textbook. Um, yeah, it looks like there might be a head and shoulder forming, but more likely looks like a possible rejection of the formation of the head and shoulder. Dinah saying that there is where price is heading lower, gold on daily time frame fair value, and it holds to go all the way up 2708. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking out for. Um, and then possible rebound. Okay. And then with that, we look at Aussie yen. That didn't trigger, take that away. Aussie yen sitting right there. Yen trying some little bit of a downside to continue on. Aussie dollar pushing back up. So straightforwardly, Aussie yen should push higher. Looking at this point, it's testing. Looking at this point, it's close. So if it breaks above 100.90, then you'd be looking at a 100.101. You're looking at 101. Stop loss would be about 25. The take profit could go up to 50 or even 65 to the upside. That's a continuation. But you want to be a bit careful in this area. It could do that back down, but Aussie looks like it's clear to the upside. So I think while this is a possibility, something to watch out for, it looks like it's more in the case of push up, bounce around this area, look for the breakout to the upside. Okay. Now, with all that said, please remember click that like and subscribe button. Help me out massively. And the US presidential election is due. Volatility is coming. Watch out. Trade well. Trade safe. I'll see you on Discord. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, with a clearer picture across the major currency pairs. Please take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.